Welcome back to the Complete Idiot's Guide for Stationeers. I am 54 Bear, the Complete Idiot, and we're back almost where we left off on the moon last time. I have gone ahead and printed the electro printer and the atmo printer, or pipe bender. Which one of these you're going to want to print first is largely going to depend on your building style. There are advantages to doing one over the other. Main reason for getting the electro printer up and running first is this is the one that has solar panels. You have the solar panel that is adjustable, and you have the basic. Now the adjustable one requires steel. We don't have that yet, so we can't print it. So the only option we'd have would be to print the basic one. I'm not going to bother with that just now. And the main reason for going for the hydraulic pipe bender is this is where you can print more vents, either the active vent or the passive vent. There's an alternative as well. It's called the cowl, C-O-W-L, and it would help if I could spell C-O-W-L, the pipe cowl. It costs exactly the same as a passive vent, it just fits differently. This one goes on the end of a pipe. The passive vent gets mounted on a wall. Really and truly, I think the pipe cowl should be a kit for the pipe, because one thing to note, when you put down a pipe, they're all blocked off at the end. And I got a bit of a power issue, so let's get that sorted. Let's take this one. Now 57, that's good enough. Anyway, so sometimes people like rushing for steel because steel gives you things like the big battery. Let me just do a search for batteries. So in the basic electronic printer, you've got access to the large battery, the small battery, the wireless batteries, which I'll cover in a bit later, and the kit battery. The kit battery is the base battery, it's the small one, but again it requires steel. Unfortunately, so does the large battery cell. Not quite as much, but it still requires steel. So steel is an early gateway to better tech or better systems. So in order to get steel, we need a furnace. So let's close these off. And the furnace is made in the auto lathe. Now you've got arc furnace, and I can't tell you the number of times I've accidentally printed an additional arc furnace. Sure, there are times when you may want multiple arc furnaces, but generally speaking, when you're starting, this is the one you're going to want to get, because this is the one that allows you to build up more alloys and get into some more of the advanced stuff. So it requires 30 iron and 10 copper. I've done a little bit of mining, as you can see. So I have the resources. I'll go ahead and print that. Now, as it stands at the moment, this thing would, if I walked away and left it unattended, it would print 2 of them. Reason being is there's 60 iron in the machine and it only needs 30. So when it finishes printing the first one, it will just go out and print another one. Easy way to get around that. Either of these yellow arrows, you just click once. It will tell you it's doing geometric wall, but when you go back here, it's telling you it's printing a furnace. So what will happen now is when it finishes printing the furnace, it will just stop. And yeah, we'll be putting the furnace up somewhere over here, I think. Now, one of the main reasons for getting the electro printer up and running quickly is it's very fast when it comes to printing out the basic cables. It can also print out the heavy cables, which we'll need later. The auto lathe will print cables, but it prints them very, very slowly in comparison. This thing spits them out really fast. One thing to note when you're printing cable coil, see right now I have 14 grams. I'll select coil. These are the 2 types. Heavy coil takes a greater wattage, is definitely going to be needed, but it also uses gold. Cable coil is just using copper. When you click on here, you'll see it needs 0.5 of a gram. So if I just print 1, whoops, and stop it, now I've got 13.5 grams. If I eject that and put it back in the machine, I've only got 13. So you've actually lost half a gram. Not a huge deal, but something to bear in mind. Certainly early game when resources may be a little short or a little harder to come by. Bearing in mind I've got a mod on here which gives me 50 grams every time I click on an ore lump, and that's not realistic. Well, not much of this game is realistic, but it's fun. Okay, so this is the furnace, otherwise known as the Widowmaker. Difficult to see which orientation it's in if you're not used to it. So if you just rotate it around, I'm pressing the delete key, that spins it round in this way. We'll just put it on its usual default way of placing it, and it goes like that. It requires 4 iron sheets to finish. So with iron sheets in this hand, again, if you're not certain what tool, just put any tool in it and it tells you you need a wrench and 2 iron sheets. Now there's my wrench. Now it needs the welding torch and 2 iron sheets. And there we are. The Widowmaker. So stuff goes in at the top and comes out at the bottom. I normally mount this thing sideways. So this is the default orientation. I'm going to take it apart because I never like it this way. So dismantle that, and what does it need? Crowbar to deconstruct the next things. Put the iron sheets down, and I think it's the wrench to finish. No, it must be the angle grinder. No, crowbar again. Okay, so what I normally do, I normally mount it on its side. A lot of people do this. Now, right now, it may be difficult to see, but the lever is on the top and the gauge is on the bottom. I usually do it the other way around. Oh, where are we? No, that's still the wrong way around, I think. Oh no, there we go. Difficult to see with this wireframe, but they've got it, or I've got it set up so that the gauge is at the top and the lever is at the bottom. The input goes in the left, comes out the right. I just find that a little bit easier to deal with. Now you can place it anywhere, but what I normally do is I place it halfway through a frame like this, and I'll put it just there. So like that. And there is a reason for my madness. I will explain as we go. Right, so first of all we want the wrench, then the welding torch, and there we are. Now, having built it, you can use it straight off the bat, and there are ports at the back. When you put the mouse pointer over them, it will tell you which is the output and which is the input. This one here is for liquid. To be honest, I've never used it for liquid. I mean, it may be necessary now that the phase change thing is in. You may end up finding you've got liquid building up in the furnace, which can greatly accelerate its explosive capacity. But you know, for the most part, we're not worried too much about it. So if you don't want to worry about doing the plumbing right now, you can use it. So the recipe is 2 volatiles. You put those in, nothing happens. It'll tell you there are 2 ice volatiles inside, and it says that ice volatiles can be melted by pressing activate. That's that one. Now there's 1, so that should tell you every time you press, or for every piece of ice that goes in there, you have to click once while the furnace is cold. Now I put in 1 oxide, and again click on that, and all of a sudden I've got some pressure and I've got a serious amount of temperature. So you can put stuff in there. We'll put in some copper, and you'll see it goes through that very quickly. It's ready. There we go. And the important thing is it hasn't used any energy, so the batteries don't need to be used for the smelting. But obviously the first thing you're going to want to do is make some steel, and that requires a ratio of 3 iron. Let's put them all together so you can see them a little easier. 3 iron to 1 coal. So if you do 50-50 and, well, 3 lots of iron to 1 lot of coal, you should be okay. Let's see, do we have... Alright, might not have enough temperature on this, but we'll try it. Very important to remember to close off this, otherwise it will just spit out the ingot like that. And that's no problem. We'll just throw the ingot back in there. Put the other 2 things we need in here. You'll notice, oh, okay, we're already too cold. Right, so when I empty this out, I'm going to end up just with having iron back. That's okay. This is a common problem when getting to grips with the furnace, and now we have a bit of a dilemma. We have 3 megapascals of pressure in there. There's a fair amount of gas. I can heat it up again, but it's going to require more volatiles and oxide. It's going to increase the pressure again, and you're not going to get quite as much temperature out of it. So it's not usually a good idea. You can do it, but there is a limit at which at some point the furnace is just going to explode. So what you're going to need to do is put in some ventilation for it. And this is where you want the Atmo printer. Now I need some iron for it. I'll just get that, put it in here, and I'm going to print a passive vent. In fact, I'm going to print 2 or 3 of them because I shall need a couple more later anyway. Well, you know what, for now we'll just do the 1. How much pipe do I have? 6. Don't think that's going to be enough. Okay, one thing to note with the furnace. The input has a one-way valve. You can only put stuff into the furnace. Stuff will only go into the furnace if the pressure in the pipe connected to it, like if the pressure in this pipe was greater than the pressure of the furnace, then stuff will go in. If the pressure in the pipe is less, then that stuff just stays there. So I've played the game for, I don't know, about 3,000 hours, something like that. I hardly ever connect anything to the input on this. The output, on the other hand, has no valve in it, and you can actually put stuff in as well. Alright, so what I'm going to do, this is just my way of doing it. You could get a dozen Stationeers players together in one place and you'll have 20 different opinions on the best way of doing this. Right, now I've only got 3 pipes, so I'm not going to go mad with it. Let's see, 1. Okay, deliberately left that gap there because on the lander,
hydration critical.
One of the things you get in your starting crates is these 2 things up here, valves. And it looks like I'm going to need to get another drink as well. Yeah, I think that's probably Mars and Venus. I don't know for a fact, but yeah. Okay, let's grab some more drink. The food goes down very slowly. You can eat for multiple days with the first can of soup, but you do go through the water fairly quickly by comparison. Okay, so we'll go back into our survival hut, close the door. Oh, I have no battery. Or do I? Yeah, I do. Okay, so that's now put the pressure back in here. Unlock, open helmet. Oh, this one I'd already emptied. Another guzzle. That. Drink some water. Okay, and we're good. So, close, lock, reverse the direction, suck it all out till we're at a vacuum, and we're back in business. Okay, so I brought out the valves. Should put one like that. Don't need the other one just yet. I'll take my vent, put it down here. And now, because the moon is a vacuum, when I open this, the pressure will go down and everything will come out. And you'll see all these whooshes. If you go and stand anywhere near it, it'll tell you that you're in this case, 285 Celsius temperatures, but there's no pressure, so it doesn't do any damage. One of the ways I like to play when I'm on a game seriously is I try not to waste any gas, because there's a lot of carbon dioxide in here. You'll end up making a lot of it, but it's a good idea to try and keep some if you can. And you can vent it right down to nothing. I'm going to vent it down to there's just a little bit of gas left. It's quite warm. So now I can break off 2 more volatiles. I'll put those in, and these will melt straight away. And 1 more oxide. Click ignite, and there we go. Right, so we should be good for the steel now. So gonna put in the iron first, just in case. And you'll notice the when it's going to make an ingot, the button is usually green. When it goes back to red, that means there's something wrong. Also, when you put the pointer over the window, it will tell you what it's going to make. So right now, if I pull the lever, I'll get 150 grams of iron. Now I put it in here. The button has gone red because it hasn't got the complete mix. And there we go. We'll produce 200 grams of steel, and the button is green. Pull the thing. There we go. Dead easy. Okay, so now with the steel and with the other things, you can go ahead, print your solar panels, print your batteries, print whatever you need. Throw that in there. Oh God, I suck at this. Okay, that's all I was going to do for this one. There is a lot more to getting this thing working right. I shall give a couple of tips before I disappear entirely. One thing I usually do, and the reason why I place the furnace like that, is I'll normally put it in a fully welded frame. Get me a welding torch like this. The furnace used to be perfectly insulated when it was in a frame like this. Now it's only partially. It's not completely thermally insulated, but it is better. And you can quite easily... Well, I won't put any more iron in there because that won't melt. Copper, I think we might be okay. Yeah. So it goes in okay, and it should come out okay as well. Just like that. And one of the big advantages of this furnace is it does all of the base ingots, it does it exactly the same speed. So your gold comes out much faster than if you were using the arc furnace. Okay, so that is the very basics of the arc furnace. I recommend getting used to having some kind of vent at the early stages, because there will be times when the pressure is going to go right up and things will go a little bit insane. I shall demonstrate. This is not recommended. So now I'm over pressure, and it's just going to continue building pressure and something is going to blow. I don't know whether it's the furnace or probably it'll be one of the pipes. Either way, it should be fun. But normally you don't want to do this. You never have to work at these kind of pressures or even these kind of temperatures. But accidentally, you can throw stuff in there and this will happen. Oh, that is weird that nothing has burst yet. Alright, well whilst we're waiting for it to cook, let's go and get our Atmo cartridge, which I think I left in one of these things. No, I didn't. Ah. Where did I put it? Oh, yeah, it's burst a pipe. And you hear that creaking sound? That just tells you that something is overpressured. It doesn't mean it is gonna... It's definitely going to burst, but it will. There's a risk that it might. Okay, right, with a busted furnace, I will leave you this time, and we'll be back for more later. Thanks for watching.